Hi, I'm Tricia Morris at Club Scrap. Welcome to the Cherish page kit. This was a special release collection from Club Scrap, and it was deeply inspired by our other collection not related to weddings called Flourish. You're going to love this little update that we made to this kit, and it's perfect for all the special occasions you've got coming up. Now, I'm going to take the goodies, fibers, and ribbons that came in the collection and just set those aside for now. And I just am set up here with my Fiskars trimmer and my accordion pocket file. As many of you already know, this pocket file helps us stay organized while we do all the trimming for 8 layouts at the same time. And then the pieces for each pair of layouts go into the appropriate pocket, which I'll call out as we're working. Now, if you don't have this yet, don't worry about it. You can use 4 pliers. The only disadvantage is that it takes up more horizontal space, and I always have plenty of vertical space. So just take the lip of this and slide it underneath your trimmer base. Reach out to us if you need help figuring out how to get one of these made for yourself. You will be able to make it with my help, and I've got a little video tutorial for you. So I do have my printed instructions here. Let's take the papers only from the collection, and I like to stand them upright, kind of hold them in my arm here, and let's sort the paper in the order that we'll be using it, beginning with the wreath print. Now, the wreath print is obviously this one here. Look for the text along the right edge here. Take that print, just one of them, and put it face down, followed by one of the greenery prints. So that has green around the entire perimeter. Put one of those face down. Then we need one dark green. Now, this has a texture on one side and it's smooth on the other, so I'll put texture side down. It doesn't really matter until you adhere it, but I like to start out on the right foot. Now, next we're going to find an ivory linen. So to find the ivory, you might just want to compare the ivory with the white. We have both included here. So I'm going to take one ivory. It's really a nice heavy paper, and put it face down. Then a brown. You'll notice this paper is extremely heavy. It's like a 100-pound weight. Actually, we need both sheets of brown. Then two craft. Okay, so that goes next. Reach toward the back of your stack of paper, and we're going to look for some Cutaparts. The first one I want you to choose is the one that says, "You hold the key to my heart." Put that face down, and then the other sheet of printed Cutaparts will go next. Again, face down. How about the other greenery print? This is with the frame with all the greenery around it. And the other ivory linen. So take that one. I'll put it linen side down. Next, find 2 of the light green, 2 white. So both of those, there should be just 2. Then a wreath print, and then the linen textured dark green here. Flip that down and flip the whole pile back up to the top where we first started with that wreath print, and we will proceed with our trimming. Place the wreath print into the trimmer so that it's considered right side up. You'll have text here, and it's legible in this direction. This is the first time using your trimmer. Just unlock the handle. Here there's a little notch in the lower right corner. And the handle does stay up in its own, which is kind of nice. So that allows you to move the paper back and forth using both hands. That's something I see a lot of beginner trimmers struggle with. They have this hand here and they're trying to find a measurement, but only with one hand. I love to use 2. We're going to find the hole number 7. Make sure you're looking at the inches, not the centimeters. Make sure your paper is level with that top edge at all times if you do want, indeed, a straight cut. Then, to help you even more, to push down on the clear bar while you slice, and that gives you a nice clean cut. Now, these 2 pieces are used as they are in layouts 5 and 6. I'm going to see about putting these in here. Yeah, that should work fine. I'll show you how I do that. Since this is only 12 inches across, these papers are as well. I'll just lay them in at an angle so that I can still see the label on the pocket here. That works just fine. So that is our first sheet done. Okay, next I'll put this into the trimmer. The direction doesn't really matter. This feels like it's right side up to me, but again, it doesn't matter. We'll trim at 9. So find the hole number 9. Make sure you stabilize and are level. And slide to 3. Take the 3-inch piece and place it in pocket 3 and 4 at that same angle. This larger piece goes in pocket 1 and 2. And this remaining strip 3 and 4. I will turn to page 2 in my instructions and grab just the dark green paper. Our first cut is at 10. So we'll find that nice whole number again, stabilize, and 6. Now rotate the 6x12 and trim at 8 and 4. Gather the 3 4x6s that you made that are all the same here, and they're going to go in pocket 3 and 4. Take the next wider strip that's left, trim at 6. One of these goes in pocket 3 and 4, and the other 7 and 8. This long strip, this goes in 7 and 8 as well. Here we are at the ivory linen. Just make sure you have one. We'll cut at 8 1/2. Now we haven't done a half yet. It's pretty easy to find it. Just make sure you go left to increase the size of your measurement. So 8, 8 1/4, 8 1/2. The trimmer base has these handy columns on it that designate every 1/4 inch. So 8 1/2, and then 4 1/4. So you made 2 strips that are both the same width. Stack them neatly together, and we'll trim them both at 6 1/4. Okay, let's take one of these larger mats here, put it in pocket 1 and 2, and the other in 5 and 6. Then you have these 2 shorter ones. Both of these go in pocket 5 and 6. This strip we're going to cut several times, so let's place it horizontally into the trimmer, and our first cut is at 11 1/2. So you'll be halfway between 11 and 12. 8 3/4. 6 and 3. So you have 2 larger pieces that are the same, pocket 1 and 2. And then you have 2 slightly smaller rectangles that go in 5 and 6. This little piece, we're going to trim that. No, we're not going to trim this. It's a scrap. My apologies. All right, moving on to brown here. Make sure you have one sheet. There should be one other sheet to your left. And we'll trim at 11 1/4, 10 1/2, 6 1/4. Now let's rotate. We'll cut at 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. Take the 2 mats that are the same, pocket 3 and 4, and then there's a rectangle, pocket 1 and 2. Pick up the next strip. We'll trim this one at 6 1/4, and that will be placed in pocket 5 and 6. And drop this one in pocket 1 and 2. And then you should be left with 2 narrow strips, and they both go in 3 and 4. The next sheet of brown, we're going to trim a bunch of little paper ribbons, I call them. So we have big numbers that create little pieces. Our first cut is at 11 3/4. So just make sure you are 1 column away from that 12. Then 11 1/2. 11 1/4. See what we're doing here? 11. And now we're going to make a big move all the way down to 8 and 4. Rotate one of the 4-inch pieces that you have here in the base. We're going to cut every number divisible by 3. So it's 9, 6, 3. Take one of the rectangles and place it in pocket 3 and 4. Doesn't matter what order it is in when it's inside the pocket. We'll have to sort it all out later anyway. The remaining 3 pieces, 7 and 8. Picking up the next strip, it's just used as it is. So that goes in pocket 1 and 2 without being trimmed. Now we have another strip here. The strip is only 3 inches wide. We'll cut at 11 1/4. 7 1/2, 3 3/4. Gather up all of your little rectangles, pocket 5 and 6 on all 3 of those. And I'm sorry to report that once again, we have a gigantic scrap. Now we have all these little strips. Take one of them, pocket 1 and 2. 2 more go in pocket 5 and 6. And the last one, 7 and 8. Craft time. We'll start out with 1 sheet, so you should have 1 to your left. And let's trim at 10. 6 1/4. Rotate. We're going to cut at 11 3/4. Big number. Then 8 1/2. 4 1/4. Pick up the 2 pieces that are the same, pocket 7 and 8. There's a narrow rectangle here that we'll trim. This will cut at 5 1/2 and 2 3/4. You made 2 rectangles that are the same, pocket 1 and 2. And once again, I know it's a lot of scraps, but these are not used. Sorry, just couldn't make it happen. Now we move on to this 3 3/4 by 12-inch strip. We've done these numbers before and I use them a lot, and they're worthy of memorizing actually. So 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. These 3 squares go in pocket 1 and 2. And we have another scrap, travesty. And then this goes in pocket 5 and 6. Our final craft here, our first cut, 6 1/4. Rotate. We'll go 8 1/2 and 4 1/4. Pocket 3 and 4. This rectangle, trim at 3 1/2. That makes a square and a rectangle. Both are used in 5 and 6. Now we're on to this final piece here, 5 3/4 by 12. Let's trim it at 11 1/4. Oh gosh, we just did this again. 7 1/2. We'll try to do this a lot. 3 3/4. And all 3 of these the same. Pocket 7 and 8. And another scrap. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 scraps. Ah, man. All right, here we are, the Cutaparts. If you know what you're doing, just go ahead and start. For if you're brand new, take a look in the corner here. Do you see the text that says remove paper outside of corner cutting guides? Do that. So here's your cutting guide, and I just try to line up the outside edge of my blade with that guide mark. And for my first time, it's really hard for me to see that guide mark down at the bottom here. So I just cut kind of generously. Let me show you. See, there's still a little bit of that line left. I'm going to come back and clean that up on my 4th turn here. I'm going to go rotate, and now I can see the line here right at the corner where my blade is, and I can see it down here in the lower right. I'll make another spin here, get this edge taken care of. If it needs to be leveled, level it. Okay, now I should be able to look at the 12 here, and that should line up with the line on the right, and it does. And then this is my final cleanup cut where I'm going to go 12 on this side and take off that hair. And it was indeed, it was a hair. These are garbage. And we are positioned now with this strip on the right. So if it's not like that, move it to the spot. Make sure that dark brown is in the upper left corner. And we'll cut at 10 1/4. Now visually you can probably see without having to measure. And the cuts usually take place on the nearest 1/4 inch. If it doesn't, it's that way for a reason. Then 8 1/2. 8. 7 1/2. Notice that I remember to stabilize on every cut I make. 6 3/4 and 3 1/2. 3 1/2. Now we did all those vertical cuts. We'll take it 1 column at a time. We will section these out and file them, then take the next one and trim and file. I always want the smallest piece on the right. So 10 1/2, 7, 3.5. Pocket 1 and 2 for this guy. If you have a thin cutting die, you can trim this out, punch it, or you could also take scissors and just cut the circle. And this piece goes in 3 and 4. 1 and 2 on the I Love Us. Then this is a tag shape. So I'm going to go ahead and use my trimmer right now while I have it handy to cut off those triangular corners to turn it into the tag shape. Super easy to do right, while you're at it. So that goes in 3 and 4. And we'll pick up our next strip. The darker green should be on the right, with our first number being 8 3/4, and then 6. Quick lob off the corners of my little tag here. And place this in pocket 1 and 2. A journaling prompt for 5 and 6. Another cute little tag. Give that the royal treatment. And 5 and 6. Now we just have some strips to file, okay? So let's take this greenery strip. We'll put that in 5 and 6. Notice how I picked them all up rather than pick them up off the table each time. Then 2 really skinny ones going in 3 and 4. Then we have this one with the text, "My favorite place in the world is next to you," 5 and 6. And the greenery again, the wider strip in 7 and 8. And all that really left me with was a bunch of little triangles. I'm gonna get rid of those. And we've arrived at our final cut apart. Now the same thing has to happen. Go ahead and remove those outer strips. Just put me on pause while you do that, and then come back when you're ready to cut this into the appropriate pieces and put them in the appropriate pocket. Our first cut should take place with this on the far right edge. And let's find 10 3/4, 9 1/2, 7 3/4, and 4. And rotate, trim at 6. This goes in pocket 5 and 6. We have a tag opportunity here again. You could do this with a craft knife and cutting mat. You could do it with scissors. I just like how straight it is on the trimmer here, and it's quick. That goes in 3 and 4. Our next strip, again, the skinnier pieces should be on the far right. 11 is our first cut. Then 8 1/4, 5 1/2, 2 3/4. This piece, pocket 3 and 4. When yes means forever. And, we have a tag journaling prompt here. Now since I've been doing it, I just got to keep doing it, right? I could save it till later, but why? Both of these go in 7 and 8. This oval shape, also 7 and 8. Then there are 2 little pieces here. I'm just going to tear them in half. The love, put that in 5 and 6. And the joy goes in 3 and 4. Don't lose those. You're going to be sad if you do. Then this, take my hand, 7 and 8. Got a bunch of artwork here with a really little rectangle scrap at the end. So that starts us out at 11 1/4, 9, 6 3/4, 4 1/2, 2 1/4, and even then I just still press down on the clear bar. Let's do some filing here. The one on the top says I do, 3 and 4, love, 3 and 4, just us, together, and forever, 1 and 2. This piece also, this long strip, 1 and 2, and you've got a few just tiny little triangles and scraps here. I'm going to get rid of that. And that concludes the trimming. Congratulations. I'll get rid of the trimmer. Set this aside on its back because it's not designed to stay up without the trimmer there. Turn to page 5 of your instructions. At the bottom, you'll see layouts 7 and 8. That's where we're heading. We're gonna build these pages without adhesive from layout 8 to layout 1 so that you can go back without me and adhere everything we've placed. So you still have this big stack of paper. I want you to take all of it and put it in a stack left of your workplace center. Take the top sheet and drag it over to the right. So in front of you, you should have an ivory linen and this greenery print. And those are specified as the base for layouts 7 and 8. So when we were sorting the paper at the beginning of class, this is what I had in mind. You know, have this all ready to go for you. Then grab your accordion pocket file again and remove the contents of pocket 7 and 8, making sure you get everything out of the pocket or from the pile. When I am distributing these elements to their appropriate page, I do like to hold it in my hand if possible. Let's start by adding 2 of our largest craft photo mats to the upper right corner of the left side, so on the ivory. And then, let's see what we got here. Beneath it, there's this skinny little paper ribbon. It helps us transition to this color, this little border strip here, very nice. So those will go side by side. We're gonna frame this up now with a green strip that's vertical, nested with the sentiment, "Take my hand." Oh, so pretty. Let's get rid of these other craft ones. Those are gonna be in a what I would call a film strip style, going on the right side. And these are the ones that I trimmed at 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4, and that allows me to distribute them equally, kind of nice, like a film strip style, I would call it, on the right side here. Then a vertical dark green with a horizontal brown. This, you can use scissors to cut this into an oval and place it here, and then add one of those cute little silk flowers. Those are one of my favorite little goodies that we have. Okay, then on the left, these remaining 2 Cutaparts nest onto the brown. Place this one up here, and if you like, you can add your key right here. I put it with the heart side. The heart's facing up and on the right. Designer's choice, of course, but some people just like to know. And then this goes right here, punch a hole, clip the corners, and so on. I'll show you some finishing steps now that we've allocated everything from the pocket. So here we are on the right side. It's basically a one-dimensional gluing process. And I just used a dry adhesive. So if, in my case, it was my ATG to add this. It worked really, really well. I used to use glue for this, but I think I prefer a dry adhesive for the silk here. Then on the left side, I have a spool of waxed cord that I just tied in a natural color, tied it to the top of the key to kind of finish it off nicely, because they always have those little hanging rings and I want to hang something from them, right? And then here I did my 2-part ribbon process. So I made a loop and just taped the ends to the back and threaded it through a hole that I punched in the tag. That's one piece. Then from a second piece of the same color, I made a little bow and I glue lined it to the tag. It looks like one piece of paper, or one ribbon rather, but it's 2. And that's pretty much it for that page. All right, so we're gonna do the stack and slide here. So I'm gonna stack this base of layout 7 on top of layout 8. Then I'm gonna slide the next paper over and set it on top. That gives me the base for layouts 5 and 6. So I can now empty my pockets or find your pile for those layouts. And again, I like to grab it with my hands if you can. If your hands aren't comfortable doing that, I mean, you're just working at home on your own, so it's okay, you know, just do what works for you, right? Now this big piece with the big wreath coming in the corner, that goes flush right on this side. And then the other piece with this wreath is gonna be down over here. So one of the reasons I like to cut these prints in half and use them like this is because it adds variety to the layouts. This originally was on this side of the print. So now I can put it over here, and visually paging through, it just looks like it all matches, but doesn't duplicate. I don't know if that made any sense, but that's my logic. The largest ivory mat that you have goes vertically here, and then the 2 narrower ones go horizontally down kind of near the bottom on the left side. There should be some paper ribbons. Again, we're going to use this to transition from our print to our plain color. Always kind of adds a little something, something. And then next to this one, I'm going to add this cute little border strip here. That really adds a lot. Across the top, we have a wide craft strip. And we can nest that with this sentiment up here. Let's see, what else? We've got a large brown mat that nests with this big photo mat. And what I did was took the heart and I strung it on here with some of this really wide satin ribbon. Really, really pretty. I'll show you that in a moment. There should be 2 other brown mats that can go here, and they're going to nest with those ivory linens. And I kind of have that as they're kind of angling a little bit. Then you have a craft that should nest onto the brown here. This craft, the square, fits on top of this. You can cut your corners, pop a hole in the top. And then this goes over here. Now, on this piece, if you happen to have the correct size punch, go for it. But I just followed the very disguised black line, or it's almost like a deep green circular line in here. It's a defined circle that you can follow with scissors, okay? Just follow that. And if you happen to have some bookbinding glue in a needle tip applicator, I just ran a little bit of glue on this and pop this into the bronze setting. Then you can take the same glue and run it around the perimeter. Your kit includes a glass dome that is manufactured to fit into the setting perfectly. And let that dry. It will dry clear. It's going to look fabulous. I mean, just really, truly set it aside, out of the way. Like I did mine overnight. Like I did my layout. I did this one night and I finished my layouts the next night. So that's where I put that piece, in that corner. I'm just going to even set it aside there. And let me show you the finished touches here. Do you see the pieces of ribbon? Just wrap them around each side of the heart. It's not even adhered, just taped at the back. So beautiful. I love that turned out. Then up here, do you see my 2-part ribbon trick? This time I did the single piece around the top. The second piece, all I did was tie a knot into the ribbon and cut the ends in a swallow's tail and glue lined it on. The facing page just is, everything is as you see with my finished piece, and you can see how the glue dried clear and it looks fabulous inside that little bronze setting underneath the glass dome. Let's do the stacking slide. So we're going to stack layout 5 on top of layout 6. Slide the base for page 4 to the right. We're just stacking it all from left to right, aren't we? Okay, then I'll take everything out of pocket 3 and 4. We're just clipping along here at a really good pace. You'll need to turn to the previous page in your instructions. So this is page 4. And we're going to distribute these strips, top edge flush, left edge flush, and you can just place them however you want. Totally designer's choice. Resting against these, you can see my little tendency to do this. I do like how this looks. A transition. It's kind of like in a dining room, you have the chair rail to divide the wallpaper from the paneling. That's kind of what this does, right? It divides the space in a beautiful way. Okay, so this should nest on here, like so. 2 vertical browns here. Then you have 2 craft going horizontal on this side. And then nest them with the remaining green. Then you have a brown. It's going to go up in this corner here. And another one over here that will be nested with a tag. So again, you'll clip the corners, do a ribbon trick. I wonder what ribbon trick Tricia used. Then we have a vertical brown nested with this greenery piece. On top of that, you can add your wood laser cut heart here. And then again, I used the gold ribbon to perform the same trick. This is just added in this area. And the circle, You can trim it with scissors or a 3 1/4 inch or thereabouts thin cutting die or punch. Add one of these cute little flowers here. Now there are a set of manila tags. 2 of them are used on this layout with I Do and Love. Of course, you know the drill. This is a little joy piece. It's used there with the bronze setting and glass dome that came in the collection again. So just remember that goes over there. Kind of just put the little cluster of items on the left side. For your finishing touches on this page, here I just wrapped the ribbon around the heart again, taped it to the back. It's loose on there, stapled a piece that I trimmed, and these were attached with foam adhesive. So first I put the foam adhesive circles on the back, then I threaded this, stuck them down, and then put the tails around to the back side of the layout, secured with cellophane tape, and it's just a really nice eye-catching accent. That's super easy to do, right? The other facing page here, this is layout number 3. This is attached with some foam adhesive, I think, and this is kind of tucked underneath there. So it's like a trio of 3 items together. And then I clipped the corners on the brown mat. I'm up to my same old tricks again. I mean, 2-part tag topper. Okay, now I'm going to slide page 3 onto page 4 and stack. Bring this on over, and here we are already at layout 1 and 2. Do you believe it? This is great fun. Went very smoothly. I hope you agree. Okay, we've got this large piece. I guess I'll just get that out of the way right out of the gates. That goes across and pretty close to the top. I'd say about 1/4 inch there. And then we've got a brown paper ribbon. Followed by this really beautiful, I love this strip. The color, something about it. Very pleasing to me. A vertical ivory mat, we'll get rid of that one and put it here. We've got a long strip going to the right of it. This other rectangle brown over here. And then you have this tag-shaped journaling prompt. That'll go in the lower left corner. And you can top that with a little silk flower. 2 smaller white, or ivory rather, linen, and they're gonna have some nesting friends to layer on top. Perfectly sized. The remaining 3 manila tags go in a row here, and you'll have just us together forever. A row of 3 craft. Again, these were trimmed at that 11 1/4, 7 1/2, 3 3/4. This one up here. Oh, I put this here. I love us up here, and you hold the key here. Top that with one of these bad boys. So Julie taught me this kind of fun way to make a bow with ribbon. It works pretty well with a narrower ribbon, so this is maybe a 3/8. So you kind of start out with it. Here's your tail, and you go up, and then you go behind it, behind. Then you go over it, and then through. I call this a figure 8, and through. Up, behind, over, and through. Then you can secure that with some tape right here and then put it on top of your ribbon. It just gives you a really nice little touch. So I'll review that one more time. You start out with this tail. So you're going up. You make a little loop, like a cancer awareness loop, and you go behind. Up, behind, then over to make that second loop, and then you bring the tail through the hole. So up, behind, over, and through to grandmother's house we go. You have this cute little bow. It would work well with like a jute or a twine or something like that as well. Up, behind, over, and through ribbon trick, my figure 8. Tied some wax cord on this key to bring the eye to it, make it a little larger than what it is. And everything else just stuck down here. I did 3 loops of ribbon, just as I explained before, with the foam adhesive first. Stick them down. This is already threaded, and then you just wrap it around nice and snug to the back. Here, simply punched a hole in the top of the tag, wrapped it around to the back with some ivory satin, and did my little figure 8 ribbon on top, you know, and put that underneath the silk flower for a finishing touch. Isn't that a lovely set of pages? Oh, it's going to be so nice for any wedding, anniversary, special occasion of that nature. I did something a little special with this. I created a formula to make cards, and I really wanted to keep them nice and simple. And this is an add-on option. So you can buy a set of 2 card kit cut-aparts for the Cherish collection. And you'll trim these apart according to this other instructions you'll receive. From that, you'll make a dozen cards. And here's the fun part. You're using the 2 sheets and 1 of each of the paper colors in the Cherish kit. So you receive 2 of everything, right? You'll use 1 of everything to make all of these cards. You could literally make 24 cards from this kit, all right? So what are you gonna make? The 4 cards that you have in holds. Oh, they're so pretty and very, very simple, right? They're just nested. No big deal there. Then this kind of a split flap we got going on here. I did utilize the embellishments. Again, very simple. And you'll make 4 of these. I just want to mention envelopes are not included in the cut apart set, so you'll need to think about envelopes: 4 A2s, 4 A6s, and 4 A7s. I believe we do carry those envelopes. You can buy them individually in sets from our store. And then here's the A7, again, a single fold where I utilize the embellishments. Now, I wouldn't want to put this in the mail necessarily, but a lot of times I'm hand delivering cards like of this nature, so that's not a problem. Otherwise, omit the embellishments. Here we have, oh, just so beautiful. So again, this is the Cherish card kit add-on. Grab one of those sets, maybe split it up, make half layouts and half cards. I don't know, make projects, whatever you want. Make whatever you want with this beautiful Cherish collection. And if you like this, make sure you pick up our Flourish as well. It's a wonderful companion set to this beautiful design. Can't wait to see you again in a future Club Scrap workshop. Don't forget to subscribe and join the club too. Hope to see you again soon.